So what we have here is probably a 1930s, 40s stencil guitar called Melody Ranch. It's been wired together at some point here. For what reason, we're not sure yet. The tuners all seem to work. Scuffed up a bit. The neck looks reasonably straight, although the angle is really out of whack, so we're going to have to probably do a neck reset on it. The graphics are average to poor. The saddle is a disaster, or bridge rather. It's obviously tried to be repaired before, not very well. Pretty dirty inside. Looks like there's a broken brace in there. Somebody has taken epoxy or something and tried to repair things. That's going to be a big job to fix that. And then on the back is coming off. We may end up having to take the back off completely anyway, just so that we can do those repairs inside. The back is cracked all the way along. So that's the state of this Autrey parlor guitar, and now we've got to get started and make a difference. Just checking this neck angle, we take a straight edge down here. It just about runs into the top of the guitar down there. It should be up in here someplace, so that makes the playability of this thing almost impossible. So the neck is going to have to come off, and we're going to have to do a neck reset. Those tuners off here are really rusted. Got the heater on here, and let's see if that glue will respond to some heat. Hopefully it does. If not, well, I don't know, but we have to try one thing at a time. One little spot's still stuck. I'm just heating this glue up and trying to get it to release from the top of the guitar. There we go, that's the last of it. And not terrible. Some cleanup, but I'll do that in a few minutes here. So we've got the last of this to come off. I think we're about there. All this done around here. There we go. Look at that mess. Some kind of glue and very thick, ugly gobs, and that's all got to come off. This brace is missing. This one obviously is coming off. This one is broken and coming off. Yeah, it's all got to be redone. But what's next? So I'm getting most of this off. Appears to be construction adhesive, and so it's responding to heat and manual labor. There's a lot of, I think that we probably got close to a pound of extra glue that we're removing out of this guitar, and then we're going to have to glue it back together. It's had some cracks in it originally. We're getting closer. I've done some inspection on the back plate of this, and it's hard to see what's here, and I don't know if it'll show up in the screen at all, but there's one label here that says, I believe it looks like MWC or AWC. I'm not sure what that first letter is. Maybe there isn't a first letter. Definitely looks like a W and a C. Not sure what that means. And then in here, there's a 43, and then there were some other numbers, but most of them have come off in getting this glue off. And then finally there's this is normally the date stamp on these guitars. You're not going to be able to read that because I can't read from here, but it does say made in USA, but the actual date portion of it is kind of blurred. My suspect is that it is probably in the 40s, somewhere in the early 40s, but that's just a guess. We'll never know for sure. More straight. Get this all done, I'm going to put it in a press and keep it flat. It will want to change shape. It's already changing shape a bit, so we're going to get it cleaned up and flattened out as best we can. So I think we're just about done cleaning this. I was able to get some of this other glue off, and this label is more readily visual now, and it says UVC. So I'm not sure what that stands for. I've done probably a dozen of these old stencil guitars, and this is the first time I've ever seen that. But anyway, yeah, I think we're about done. A few little minor details here to clean up, and that part of it is back to semi-normal. So the neck needs to be reset. Angle's way too shallow. I'm going to take the heat up the tail part of the fretboard and see if we can get that off. Yeah, this is really loose. Really loose. I think we're going to take this whole thing off. Look at that. Yep. We have the neck off. The fretboard off, sorry. Well, makes it easier to get into this. Get some heat in there, get this pulled off. It's loose already, might not even take any heat. Might be able to get this off just wiggling it. Good. Well, we'll let that set up for a while. I'll put some cleats in here as well, so this doesn't happen again. and then the braces also will act as cleats once they're in place. But I wanted to get that squeezed together before we did anything else. Good. Well, while we're waiting for the braces to glue up on the back, but well, we need to build a new bridge, so took a piece of rosewood out in the shop and cut it down to about that shape, and then ground off all the things that didn't look like a bridge and ended up with something that's close. So now we have to get it fitted into here, onto here, and it's a little bit rocky right now, so I'm going to finish scraping off the old material off the top, all the glue and other gunk that's there, and then we'll fit this so that it's not rocking nearly so badly, hardly, preferably not at all. So now it's just a matter of a long, tedious task of scraping and scraping and more scraping. Well, I think we've got that scraped out about as good as we're going to get it. Glue's down at least. And there's a few places here. There's more. That Just about done. Let's see how this fits on here. Seems to cover pretty good. There's a little bit of rocking. I'm going to take some of that out, but I don't want to take too much of it out because I'd like to force that top down to flat. Let's just check. There's quite a bit of hump in there, so this, put this in, that would probably take, yeah, it takes quite a bit of that out. So I think we're going to leave that. That'll help force it down. Good, good. It's got a pretty piece of rosewood. And looking at the theme of things here, I think I'd like this ridge to be almost, well, a much darker color, closer to black. I think it would look better. Black fretboard and black accents. So I think that's what we're going to do. And a little bit of Thieving's black leather dye. Okay, let's see how that's going to look. Much better. So I've got the pinholes drilled out of this, and they all seem to line up okay. I'm just gonna see if I can fit this a little tighter. We want to make sure that we get all the little holes and everything filled here as best we can. We don't want this to really come off. However, with using tight bond, and that's what we're using here, it's possible to get it off again. A little heat, and we'll see how this goes. Well, here's the last of the 4 braces, and I've got the cleats in place, and yeah, I think we can start removing all the clamps. And now I have a little bit of cleanup on the back to do. Do that on or off the guitar. But I think I'm going to start on the, with the back off just first, and then we'll move on from there. The bridge on, and I have to motor in a saddle slot, but I need to get the neck set before we can do that, so we can get the right measurement. Now I'm just going to do some cleanup here. It's all about the details. So we've cleaned up the headstock on this quite a bit. I've done some touch-ups, and to the back as well. Got rid of the wire that was wrapped around here, and filled a few holes and built it out a bit, so it's pretty good. It's never going to be like new, but then again, it's not new. So I've still got some work to do on the heel portion. We'll work on that a bit. I put a bit of a clear coat on this just to brighten it up and sharpen up the headstock details. I think it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to try and get this fitted into neck pocket properly and get the neck set, and in order to do that, I've got to measure this, and so I'm just going to temporarily set this on here. It's sitting nice and flat now. I've leveled out the neck so that I've got rid of the warp out of it, and now we'll just check this in here, and it's just about halfway up the bridge is where it's coming in. You probably can't see that, but that's about halfway up the bridge, and we need it right up on top or a little above that, so we got a bit of work to do, but that's gonna happen with some sandpaper pulls, and quite a few of them, and we just put the sandpaper in here. The idea is it's going to have sandpaper contacting the bottom of the neck a lot longer than the top. That way it'll shift the angle. So here we go. So just cleaning up these braces that we put on, get rid of the chisel marks, make them look a little cleaner. I think they're all in good shape now. And we've put in some kerfing here, replaced some of the kerfing that had broke out. It's just gluing up yet. I think that's pretty good. And spliced in a piece that had broken out when the neck came out of the pocket. So it's just getting glued up there at the moment. It'll set up shortly. Still need to clean up this pocket a little bit. Done a little bit of touch up on some of the graphics here just to clean them up a little bit. Do a little bit of polishing on that. See if we can balance out a little bit. Yeah, take some gunk out of there. So I'm going to clean up these braces, the original ones here. They're kind of crude. And I think we can lighten them up a little bit. Not a lot, but just make them a little nicer, a little lighter, hopefully a little more responsive. Okay, I have cleaned this up just as much as possible. I think we're to the place where I can actually glue this back on, but one of my concerns always is that when you've got the back off, you want to make sure that there is absolutely nothing more that you can do to this while you've got access to it. And I think I'm there. So we're going to glue this back on today. So next thing is I've got my clamps all ready to go. I highlighted this model number and stuff in here because it was really faded, so I just thought I'm going to highlight it for future reference. Well, here it is, all clamped. One clamp left over, and I think I'm gonna put that. It's not in perfect alignment, but it's pretty close, and it's about as close as you'll ever get these things. After you've taken them off, they seem to take on a new shape for whatever reason, but we'll be able to trim all this up and make it look like it's a perfect fit when we're done. So now just let it sit and cure. We'll be back to this. Well, off camera here, I received my parts, which is a carbon fiber rod, and it's about 3/8 of an inch thick, deep, and 1/8 of an inch thick. And I've cut a groove down the neck inside, inset the carbon fiber, and put some registry pins into the neck, and so that they'll match up to there, the fretboard, which I've got a couple of holes drilled right in here. So that's all going to line up nicely. Now it's just a matter of some glue and some clamps, and we'll have that part back together. Moving forward. Here we go with some glue. Out in the shop, I put a bit of a clear coat over top of touch-ups and stuff that we've done here, so just to protect it a bit, give it a little more shine. Now we've got the frets, just taking a close look at them. They're really rough, and so I've polished them out, or dressed them out with a 400 grit paper, and then I went to a 600, and now just finishing up the last here with some 2000, and just to polish these up. So I see a few here that are going to need a little bit of more crowning and a little fret dressing on some of the sprouts here. I'm just going to take some of that off, smooth those fret ends off. And then I'll just get some. I think all these tuners are in good shape mechanically, but they're really rusted, so we got to clean that up. We'll do that off camera. Well, here's a bit of a before and after. This is what these tuners look like to begin with, and then after some cleaning they come out looking like this. And on the back side as well, the brass is now nice and shiny, and yeah, it just definitely cleans them up, and they work a little better as well, get that rust out of them. So one ready to be put back on, and one more to go. So I'm gonna set the saddle position on this. So I've got my very sophisticated coat hanger with a couple of hooks on it to bring the strings on here. I could have put them into the pinholes, but sometimes it's because of the brake angle, it's hard to get the saddle set right. So I'm just gonna find myself an old piece of saddle here, and see if we can just see if we can tune this up. So I've had to actually, I thought I had a nut and it didn't work out so well, so I've built a new bone nut from scratch. And so I've got that mounted in there now. I've got a couple of strings on it because I'm going to try and position the saddle to so I can rotor out the slot. So I've got this little assembly on the back here to mount the strings on, and I've just got a temporary saddle in place here, and got it up to pitch. Let's see. And check it here at the 12th. And we're right on there. And that, around there, and perfect. So I'm just going to mark this. Good. Now I can take this out to the shop and rotor out that slot. It's looking good. Well, I went up to the shop and we built a new saddle, rotored out the saddle slot for it. Got some bone, raw rough bone material, and we've made a nice fitting saddle. Fits in there pretty good. Leaned out the holes for the pins just a little bit larger to accommodate the pins. Start to put some strings on this. Get it tuned up. We won't be probably finishing this today because by the time I start working out the fine details, it takes a while, and that is I have to measure the saddle height here. It's got to come down quite a bit, and I'll have to do some more fitting to the nut, and so all that takes quite a bit of time. Is just to get it done right, you got to do everything in sequence and just take your time and make sure you get the details correct. So we'll wrap this up soon though. Well, it's sort of up to tune, up to pitch, but it's, if you're going to be able to see the action on here, it's pretty high, probably 160, 170. It's got to come down to about 90, so somewhere down that level. And this has also got to come down, and that's really high all the way across, which is to be expected. That's, yeah. Want it to start high and bring it down to where you need it. So, but it's making notes, and now it's just fine tuning. We'll work on that tomorrow. you.